The amazing Barrell Bourbon Company has come out with Foundation Double Barrel, knowing how much we all love the double oaks and toasteds and whatever. What do we think about the Double Barrel Foundation? Stick around and find out. Hello and welcome back to Drams for Dummies. I am the numero toppest, mostest dummy of them all, Brett. Thanks for being here. If you know, you know, but this channel is by and for dummies like ourselves who love the whiskeys and the bourbons, don't have a PhD in it, don't have channels with millions of followers, don't have 40 years of experience, just like it, don't really even know why we like it sometimes, and we like to run our mouths and talk about all the things that with our friends, and we don't know if what we're saying is right or wrong, but we have fun with it. So that's what I'm doing with you guys. I bring you into my kitchen and let you listen to me pontificate in the dumbest of ways about what's in front of us. And today, what's in front of us is the Barrell Bourbon Company's Foundation Double Barrel edition, which has just started hitting the market. But when they came out with Foundation, I think the thought process was, how can we create a product at 100 proof, so we kind of bring it down to a more accessible level, kind of create a daily drinker that should be able to be found on the shelves regularly, at a price point. I think it's like 50 to 59, 60, whatever dollars. So a good price point for good juice that's consistent but has depth and quality that maybe a lot of other easy to find things just don't have. So I think that was kind of their idea. A more accessible, easy to get barrel product. And so now what they've come out with is the double barrel. So we all know that, double oak, double barrel, whatever you want to call it, toasted, these different kind of finishing in another barrel of some regard has been popular now for a long time. And, when they do double oaking, obviously it's going to bring in a little bit more of that oak flavor. It's going to kind of give a little bit more sometimes depth and complexity just by bringing in that extra fresh wood jolt to the finish. So yeah, you sometimes get a deeper, a little bit more complex palate when you do the double oak. So I'm really curious to see how this stacks up score wise. I'm going to put on my peepers here. If you watched one of my prior videos, I tried to, as a matter of fact, it might have been Barrel. I was going to try to read the bottle, and there was no way I was going to do that. So now these guys are with me on a regular basis, so I can actually read. But just, I always think it's interesting to like let everybody know what Barrel's done, especially recently with their labeling, is kind of give you a lot more information on the label. So in the Foundation blend, they have Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, and Maryland distilleries represented. They've got the Kentucky, it's an 8-year. The Indiana, which we know is going to be MGP, probably 5, 6, and 9-year versions of that mash bill of that juice, whatever that is. Tennessee is an 8-year, and then Maryland they have 5 and 6 years. And then the derived mash bill of all of this blended is 73% corn, 23% rye, and 4% malted barley. So we've got I wouldn't call it a high rye, but it's definitely a rye blend, and a healthy amount of rye, we'll say. So excited to dig into this. Let's rock and roll and see what we got here. Nose time. Oh, let me take these off. I don't need those on. Oh, all right. Now I gotta adjust my eyes. Take a quick whiff. Really nice, really sweet and smooth on the nose. But I'm gonna take a quick sip. It's going to inform the nose a lot better. So let's put it all together. Yeah, so at first blush, it really just kind of comes off as light and sweet and caramely. But as you kind of keep getting in there and it warms up a little bit more and it's got more air, a little more of that oak tannin kind of is coming out the bottom side of the nose, and that rye kind of mintiness there's a rye mintiness in there. But for the most part, I would say that at first nose, it's a fairly subtle, subdued, light nose. I like a big, robust nose. We are watered down to 100, so that's going to kind of kill some of that. But we've all had 90s and 95s and 100s that have really crazy noses. This isn't one of them. But let me give this one more whiff, and then we'll get a score on the nose. But yeah, everything I've said, light, easy, everything's in there. You can smell, you can get the rye out of it, you can get the oak out of it that's maybe coming off that double oak, but it's all very light and easy and subdued. So, I think that's just going to be a 7. I think that's just a good. Eh, yeah, I'll go 7. I almost went to the 6, pretty good, just because it is kind of not tripping all my triggers. But the reality is everything in it is good. Everything that it's doing a good job with what it's doing. I just wish it's doing more of it. So that would make it a really good or an excellent or an amazing or an out of this world or a whatever can't be beat type nose. Right now it's good, solid, good, solid. But if it's going to err any direction, it would be going the other direction towards just pretty good. So take that for what it's worth. 7 on the nose. Palate time. Interesting. Really interesting. First blush gets in there, rolled around a little bit. Not quite the viscosity I'd want. Again, watered down to 100. That's probably a lot of that. So it's not coating the mouth. It's not filling the mouth with flavor on the front end of the palate. Feels a little, again, the front end of the palate matches the nose. Feels nice and fine. Feels light and easy. But then I think that double oak quality comes through the back side of the palate, and you really get the oakiness and a little bit of that drying nature of the double oak. But in this case, it serves it. I think it serves it well because it doesn't. If it ran the whole palate, it might be a little much, and it might be that one note, and that one note being a little bit of a drying oak forward thing, where this is like we get to let you have a little easy drinking, easy sipping start, and then we sort of come in and bring the oak afterwards to kind of give it a little sizzle and a little bit of a little punch. And I think that's fun. So let me get it. Let me go after it again and see what sip 2 does for me, and then think about what that means score wise for me. Yeah, interesting. It's just a really light, easy sipper overall. It doesn't have a whole lot of great flavor. It really kind of feels a little flat in flavor. And then I feel like, and I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but I feel like the double oaking is bringing an experience that the palate doesn't have by itself, if that makes any sense. Like the palate itself is fairly flat and easy and watery and one-dimensional. And then, but then that oak really comes back on the backside and makes you go, oh, that's an adventure. It's a ride. But at the end of the day, it's really just oak. It's just oak sizzle, oak punch over the top of easy drinking, light bourbon. So I'm giving this a 6 on the palate. Pretty good. I feel like if it without the double oaking, and I had the foundation before and I liked it, but I'd have to side by side them. I don't have one right now, the regular foundation. If you didn't have that sort of double oak punch, I feel like this might just be a 5. Just that average. It's not doing anything. It's not hurting. It's not hurting me or turning me off in any way. But it's certainly just not much more than an average meh drink. I feel like the oak is bringing a little bit of interest that punches it up to a pretty good, but it's nothing spectacular. So 6 on the palate. Let's see what the finish is doing and finish this thing out. Literally and literally, I don't know. Yeah, the finish holds up, for as kind of watery and light as the nose is, watery and light as the majority of the palate is. Um, like I said, on the backside of the palate, that oak punch starts to happen. and that sizzle kind of happens, and the finish just keeps that kind of rolling. Again, it doesn't bring in any new elements. You're not getting any complexity in that finish, but that oak still stays in the finish. That kind of sizzle stays in the finish. It never turns harsh. It never, which a lot of times, especially I think when we get water, we're watering down in our proofs, it can be nice and good flavors, and the finish can feel nice, and then there's a little twist at the end of like bitterness. There isn't that. It just sort of takes what's happening at the back end of the palate, it lets it run through. It's a relatively long finish for 100 proof, which I think is pretty good. I'm just gonna go 6. I'm gonna go pretty good. Again, if I was doing halves anymore, it'd be a 6.5. That's where I'd put it, like 6 plus. It's almost good, but it just kind of sits in that pretty good, is a little better than pretty good, but we're going to round that down to a 6. So score, time, and wrap up for the Foundation Double Barrel, which is their double oaked foundation. Nose is 7, palate is 6, and finish is also 6. So we've got 19 divided by 3 is a 6.3, rounded down to a 6, which is a pretty good bottle. 6.3, got to make my scores official over there. So yeah, it's a pretty good bottle. You know, it's $60, I want to say, 50 or 60, depending on what you're seeing on the shelves. For a pretty good bottle at 100 proof that kind of comes off overall too light, too easy, too one-dimensional, that only kind of gets its interest from this oak punch at the back. For me personally, not being a huge oak guy, you know, I wouldn't buy it again. But for me, it's a 6. For me, it's pretty good. For me, I'm not going to probably buy it again. Take that and do with it what you will. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, like it, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with your fellow whiskey drinking dummies who might appreciate another dummy perspective, and come back, hit the notification bell too, so that when we post something, you know you can jump on, watch it as soon as it pops out, give us the love, give us the old YouTube algorithm pump. We always like that. So thank you so much. Love you guys. See you next time.